Good morning and welcome in, everybody. Marc Farzetta with you here on the Farzy Show at the Steven Singer Studios. Some of you might remember this. Some of you might not remember this. But when I was a kid, there was the show, Saturday Night Live. It's still around. You may have heard of it. And there was a character, Matt Foley, played by Chris Farley. And it's one of the greatest characters in the history of Saturday Night Live. And he played a motivational speaker who lived in a van down by the river. The van down by the river doesn't have anything to do with this, but just for reference. And he would go to these high school kids and tell them not to smoke dope, right? Hey, you want to do something with your life? Don't smoke dope, kids. It was a hilarious sketch. Anyway, David Spade at one point, who plays one of the high school kids, says to Matt Foley, Chris Farley, he goes, "Hey, you know what? I want to be a writer when I grow up." And Chris Farley runs over to Phil Hartman, the late great Phil Hartman, and he goes, "Hey, Dad, what do we see over there? Bill Shakespeare?" As he's adjusting his glasses, sarcastically referring to David Spade as Bill Shakespeare. And I don't know why my brain went to that last night watching the Phillies play the Marlins again, because I think it was because every time the Phillies play the Marlins, I find myself being Matt Foley going, "Hey, what do we have over there? The 27 Yankees? What do we have over there? The 0-1 Seattle Mariners?" The fact that the Phillies cannot beat the Miami Marlins is one of the things over the last couple of years that is just, like, in Philadelphia sports, been the thing that has been under my skin the most. And I've told you before, I'm a baseball first guy. I love the Phillies, all that stuff. But, like, when you can't get past the Miami Marlins for the last 3 years, really, and especially over the last 2 years. And the Phillies, listen to this, the Phillies have lost 10 of 14 to this team dating back to last year. The Phillies had a shot at making the playoffs last year if it wasn't for the Marlins. The Marlins got taken over by Derek Jeter, and it was a fire sale. Sell everybody. Everybody's gone. You got to go, and you got to go, and we're trading you, and we're cutting you. Everybody's gone. And then a couple years, maybe a year or two after that, the Phillies signed Bryce Harper. So the Phillies trying to win, spend money, Marlins trying to lose, fire sale, somehow magically become a better team than the Philadelphia Phillies. And Derek Jeter's like, "Hey, guys, I want to lose here. Can we lose, please? I mean, Don Mattingly teach everybody how to play baseball, but please lose." It's like they're going through their own process in Miami. And the only thing they've really done is add that stadium. And the Phillies just continue to go down there or host them and say, "Hey, here's 2 of 3 almost every single time you play this baseball team." And it's gotten to the point where my head's just going to explode. And Zach Eflin has been one of your most consistent pitchers this year. Maybe not your best pitcher, because as we said yesterday, that goes to Zach Wheeler. But Zach Eflin has been one of your most consistent pitchers this year. And yesterday, they got to him. When they got to him, they got to the bullpen. And they just blew the doors off the Phils. And here's the Phillies had an adorable little rally there in the 9th inning. But did anybody ever think they were really going to come back in that game? I mean, they got it to 6-9, and that's what they lost. They lost 9-6 to the Marlins. But they go into the 9th inning there, and they start getting some runs. But really, what needed to happen was early in that ball game, maybe the first inning when you have Rhys Hoskins step to the plate. Now, Rhys Hoskins had 2 hits for you, RBI double included. Rhys Hoskins stepped to the plate in that first inning, runners at the corners, he grounds into the double play. It feels like every single time you don't capitalize on an opportunity with Miami, you end up paying for it tenfold. It's like if you miss a big haymaker of a punch, it's like they're going to come back with it in a combination and knock you on your ass. And that's what happened yesterday. And I'm going through all these emotions watching the Phillies yesterday. And it was a players-only post-game show. It was Ruben Amaro Jr., it was Ricky Bottalico, it was Ben Davis, and they threw it to John Kruk. First off, kudos to Ricky Bottalico, who was running the show yesterday, the players-only post-game. And I was looking at Ben Davis, and I was looking at Ruben Amaro, like, hey, who's going to keep Ricky Bottalico's head together during all of this? And turns out they actually did a pretty decent job. But they throw it to John Kruk, who was the color analyst on the game yesterday. And I think John Kruk on NBC Sports Philadelphia summed this up perfectly. And I think what I take out of all this is the Marlins are simply in the Phillies' heads. Listen, this is John Kruk yesterday on the Phillies postgame show on NBC Sports Philly talking about the Phillies' loss, and not just the Phillies' loss, but the Phillies again losing to the Marlins.
Here's what I see. Watching the games TV, the last series, and now this game tonight, the Marlins know they're a better team than the Phillies, and the Phillies don't think they're better than the Marlins. That's the bottom line. The Marlins take the field every time they play the Phillies, and they might not be better than the Mets. They might not be better than the Braves. They know they're better than the Phillies, and they play like they're better than the Phillies. And they wait for the Phillies to make mistakes, and they do, and then they capitalize. That's that. The Phillies need to remedy this thing quick, because if it wasn't for the Marlins, the Phillies would have been in the postseason last year. And can the Marlins be the team that keeps them out of the postseason this year? More than likely, they better start beating them.
You're beat when you show up in Miami, and that's how the Phillies are playing, and that's what I'm getting out of John Kruk's statement. And I feel like John Kruk was speaking for all Phillies fans that are watching this team right now going, at any moment, you can kick it into high gear against Miami. And I go back to a point I made during their series last week, which was talking to Jason Stark, great Hall of Fame baseball writer, Philadelphia guy, obviously. Talking to him a couple years ago, it came down to, and this is what he said, it came down to which team in the NL East, in what was supposed to be a tightly wrapped NL East, was going to beat the Marlins. How much the Braves, how much the Mets, and how much the Phillies were going to beat the Marlins was going to determine whether or not those three aforementioned teams were going to make the postseason. Who was going to not only win the wild card, not only win but also win the division. That's what it was going to come down to. And the Phillies just can't do it. 10 or 14 you've dropped to this team dating back to last year. That is god awful. And the Phillies right now, I want to give you the updated standings. Phillies drop behind the Braves. Phillies are behind the Marlins. Phillies are behind the Mets. They're one game out of first place in all of this. And as we got into it yesterday, this Phillies team is lucky that nobody is running away with it right now. However, you're in fourth place behind the Marlins. It is amazing to me how much they just can't crack this code when it comes to Miami. It is amazing. They show up and they look defeated from jump because this other team has their number. And sometimes you just chalk it up over a period of time. Hey, you know what? They have our number. There's nothing right we can do. Something needs to happen to turn the tides of the Phillies' luck against the Marlins. And I wish, luck, whatever. They're just bad. It's just a bad baseball team when they play Miami. Crossing your fingers that things turn around. Bryce Harper didn't play yesterday. I actually did a radio hit yesterday with my friend Chris DeGaulle, and we were talking baseball. We were talking Sixers. And I told him what I'm about to tell you. There's no way Bryce Harper's healthy. I mean, I think he's the type of guy who would play through injury, and I don't think he wants anybody talking about it, whether or not he's injured. But I just don't think he's healthy. And he gets the day off yesterday. We'll see what happens today. Got the day off again yesterday. We'll see what happens today if he's back in the lineup. Brad Miller's filling in well, by the way. But he's definitely a bat you want in that lineup, and definitely a bat not only you want in the lineup, but a bat you need to carry this team for a while. It was Rhys Hoskins carrying this team a couple of weeks ago during his amazing seven home run and 9-game stretch, whatever it was that he had. And then it was also Bryce Harper a little bit earlier in the season getting hot at the right time. Right now would be a good time for somebody in this lineup to say, the heck with everything else, guys. I got this. I'll turn the tides. I'll change our luck against Miami. Today would be a good day to start that. So let's cross our fingers that actually happens. There's some Sixers news we're going to get to just in terms of getting game 2 underway tomorrow night against the Wizards. It feels like, it does feel like it's forever between these games, and I'm not opposed to it. Give the Sixers as many days off in between games as humanly possible when it comes to Joel Embiid and load management and all that. But we'll get to that in a little bit. I failed to mention, Hugh Douglas joins the show today on this fine HUGHSDAY, as he does every Tuesday. And later today, an extended Farzy Show, we will be joined by Eagles' second-round pick, Landon Dickerson. That's right. Landon Dickerson will be on the show coming up at 7 o'clock today. Can't wait to talk to Landon. Seems like a very entertaining guy here. Nothing but great things about him. Can't wait to hear from Landon Dickerson. But when we talk to Hugh, we're going to talk about this mostly about this little tidbit with Julio Jones. when I was going about my day yesterday, I went down to the cheesesteak. It wasn't a 500-foot cheesesteak. They made a 600-foot cheesesteak. We're gonna have a piece for Farzy in the field a little bit later in the week for you, but it was incredible. So I'm running around, right, and I'm doing stuff, and I check my phone periodically, as one does, and I see this Julio Jones story, and it's Julio Jones tells Shannon Sharpe he doesn't want to go to the Cowboys, but he wants out of Atlanta. Okay, and I read a little bit of the story, go about the rest of my day, and then a friend of mine text me, and they're in the business, and they go, "Can you believe Shannon Sharpe goated Julio Jones on live TV?" And I went, "What do you mean goated? What do you understand?" So I look it up again, and I find a video, and there it is. I think, well, I don't want to say anymore. If you haven't seen it yet, here is from the show Undisputed. Now I'll say this. I think this is about a 90-second clip. This is the most I've ever watched Undisputed. This is by far the most I've ever watched this show. Shannon Sharpe and that other guy, the Skip Bayless fella, these two apparently like yell at each other for a while, and that's the show. So here is Shannon Sharpe looking to nullify the rumors that Julio Jones wants to go to the Dallas Cowboys because, and people saw this, Julio Jones is wearing a Dallas Cowboys hoodie over the weekend, and people thought, oh, that's him setting up the flagpole that he wants to go to Dallas. Skip Bayless is a Cowboys fan. I feel like everybody knows that. And Shannon Sharpe wanted to set the record straight that that's not where his friend Julio Jones wants to go. Check this out. And in the comments on Twitter as well, hit me up and let me know what you make of all this.
You watching, Julio?
Really hope he answers here.
Julio, have the guts to pick up the phone.
What's happening?
Yeah.
All right.
Julio. Hold on. Let me put you on. Can you hear me?
I got you. This is your favorite uncle. What's going on, bro?
Man, nothing much. About to go meet up with my brother. What's happening with you?
Man, look. You want to go to the Cowboys, Julio? Or you want to stay in Atlanta?
Oh, man, nah, I'm out of there, man.
You
He's
out of
out. He's out of there.
there? Are you going to... Ideally, where would you like to go?
Right now, I want to win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, don't go to Dallas. If you go, you ain't winning in Dallas, Julio.
Man, listen, come on, man. You already know I know.
Okay.
Can you remind him we're on television?
Ask him why we wore the Dallas.
Listen. You know how people is, man, with all that going on with the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all that, stuff like that.
Okay.
Man, I ain't never been on that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. That's good enough. Yeah. Julio, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for calling me back. We on air, but I appreciate you calling me, dog. You know I know my nephew was gonna pick up.
Oh yeah, nah. Yeah. I ain't going to Dallas, man. I never thought about going to Dallas.
Okay. I appreciate that, bro. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Couple of things. Let's just get this out of the way. He doesn't want to go to the Dallas Cowboys. You just heard it right from the horse's mouth right there. He told his uncle, Shannon Sharpe, that he doesn't want to go to Dallas because he wants to go to a winning team. So that makes you feel good, right, Eagles fans? The Cowboys are not a winning team. However, I think this was a really weird type of back and forth. The people are talking about legal ramifications because it's not clear as to whether or not Julio Jones knew he was on TV. It's not clear whether or not he knew he was on live television. Here's what I think happened. I think Shannon Sharpe and Julio Jones had a conversation as two friends would do, as a nephew would with an uncle, right? And I believe Julio Jones told Shannon Sharpe, yeah, man, no, I don't want to go to Dallas, but I need to get the hell out of here. I need to get out of Atlanta. And Shannon Sharpe went, cool. Then during the show, there's probably a little back and forth with Skip Bayless, and Shannon Sharpe said, you know what, let me settle this right now. And I believe it was an impromptu phone call from Sharpe to Julio Jones. This is what I believe. This is my own speculation. Let me get that out of the way. Speculation that I believe he knew the answers. Shannon Sharpe knew that Julio Jones didn't want to stay in Atlanta and knew he didn't want to go to Dallas. Called him up on the air without Julio Jones knowing he was on the air and got that information from him. The first thing, and this happens in radio bits all the time, if you're going to have somebody on the air, you have to legally tell them you're on the air. Like if I was to just on the radio call my whoever, a personal friend, somebody I was trying to call out on the radio and didn't tell them they were on the radio, I could get into a hell of a lot of trouble, legally speaking. Not just like FCC, but whatever. So I'm listening to this yesterday, and I'm thinking they definitely had a conversation, but Julio Jones doesn't know he's on the air right now. And one of the main reasons I feel that way is because halfway through the interview, you hear, I believe her name is Jenny Taft on the show. I only know because I looked it up, and because, again, I don't watch the show. But she goes, make sure he knows he's on the air. And Shannon Sharpe doesn't say anything. And then at the end of the interview, probably because the producer's like, dude, you have to tell him he's on the air. He goes, all right, man, we're on the air right now. Talk to you later. And it's like, what the hell? And here's the other thing. If you're going to have Julio Jones on your show to say, like if it was set up, there's such a better way to do that. If Shannon Sharpe wants to call him and say, hey, man, all right, you want to say this on the air? Let's set it up. Let's get you on the phone. Let's get you on a Zoom. Let's get you on whatever. And we'll get you on the show. And you could say publicly that you do not want to be on the Atlanta Falcons. So for the people that said, oh, this was all set up. There's 1,000 better ways to set this up than putting you on speakerphone on my cell phone live on television. Now, maybe they wanted to start the media circus, not a media circus, but maybe they wanted to start the frenzy of everybody talking about whether or not this was real. That seems like it's almost above the news itself. Excuse me. Yeah, above the news itself. Where, if he just wants to get the word out that he wants to be out of Atlanta and he wants to do that with Shannon Sharpe, why don't they just pipe him into the show as opposed to calling him on the phone? So weird. I do believe that if there's journalistic integrity here, and I'm not expecting Julio Jones to be, an Edward R. Murrow type of guy. Or I'm not expecting Shannon Sharpe to be that guy. But I would assume, just in the world of common decency, anybody would know to let somebody else know that they're live on the air. I think it was just a mistake. I think it was all a mistake. I think it's a happy accident for the undisputed people. I think it's a happy accident for Shannon Sharpe, and I think it's a happy accident for Skip Bayless. I don't believe Julio Jones knew he was live on air when he was saying he wanted to leave Atlanta. Because, again, why would he publicly make that announcement just right out of the gate? I want to be somewhere. I want to go to a winner. I don't want to be in Atlanta, and I don't want to go to the Cowboys. Why would he put that out there? That would actually hurt his chances of getting traded, at least to a team that he wants to go to or has any influence over where he'd go. The whole thing smells. The whole thing stinks, as a matter of fact. The only thing that doesn't stink is that Julio Jones is now on the record saying he wants to go to a winner. So that means he doesn't want to be in Atlanta, who the Eagles play in week 1. Cool. So they're not a winner. And he doesn't want to go to the Cowboys because they, too, are not a winner, who the Eagles will play twice this year, and everybody hates the Cowboys anyway. So those are the two warm and fuzzy things you could take away from this. Oh, maybe a third thing. Maybe there's a chance he goes to the Eagles. I would doubt it. But there's maybe like a toenail's chance that he would actually come to Philadelphia. But we'll talk to Hugh Lamont Douglas III coming up about that, because he's right there in the hotbed that is Hot Atlanta. So we'll talk to Hugh Douglas about that coming up in just a minute. But that's my take on it. I don't think that Julio Jones knew he was live on the air. I think he knew he was talking to Shannon Sharpe, but that was about it. I don't believe that he knew he was live on air at the time. So we'll continue to follow that story as it develops, and I'm sure it will develop throughout the week. So there you go on that. Let me tell you about my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Ladies and gentlemen, I send my friends, I send my family there, and I send you there to Steven Singer Jewelers. Steven Singer, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia. Real jewelry experts walk you through everything. And here's the best part. The perfect price. You go to buy a diamond. Do you want to worry about anything else? do you want to learn about? Do you want to worry about negotiating? No, of course not. You just want to go in there, know you're going to get taken care of, know you're going to get a beautiful piece of jewelry, and that's what he does at Steven Singer Jewelers. Steven sets everything at the perfect price, so all you have to worry about is the beautiful diamond or the beautiful piece of jewelry that you want to buy for that special someone in your life. Other jewelers, they'll mark up prices just to say, hey, you know what? I'll give this to you for $200 less. And guess what? No, you're just getting everything right there at the market price anyway, because they marked it up to knock it down to make you feel like you're getting some kind of deal. They need to do that because their jewelry is not as beautiful. The jewelry is not as high quality as Steven Singer Jewelers. That's right. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com, peruse the inventory, go to the other corner of 8th and Walnut and see what they have going on right there. I guarantee you'll feel comfortable. I guarantee you'll have a real jewelry expert explain everything to you and show you exactly what you're looking for. Every day, the perfect price. There's no sale. There's no promo code. Every day, there's the sale. The perfect price. All day, every day at Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, and IHateStevenSinger.com. All right, without further ado here, let's jump on the Zados Investments guest line on this happy HUGHSDAY morning and talk to our good friend, Hugh Lamont Douglas III. Joining us now on the Zados Investments guest line, happy HUGHSDAY to Hugh Lamont Douglas III. What's up, brother?
What's happening? What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Now, you and I have talked on this show before about doing morning radio and how you take a little siesta in the middle of the day. And how when you wake up from said siesta, sometimes the world is completely different. And in your case, in Atlanta, the Julio Jones, Shannon Sharpe news broke during that siesta. What's your world like right now in Atlanta, Hugh?
Man, listen, one of the things that I try not to do is have the show via text message or via Twitter. But I did exactly that today because it was a lot of, you know how it is, Mark. You have a lot of thoughts about a lot of things. You have a lot of people that want to talk about the news. And I haven't had a chance to gather my thoughts because it's a lot to digest. It's not like a story that has developed over the weekend. It's like you wake up and it's like you wake up and you're dropped into a war zone. And you have to immediately acclimate yourself to what's going on, how you're going to respond, formulate an opinion, like formulate a plan, all of that within a matter of minutes because you're getting bombarded by questions about how do you feel about it. And to be honest, I don't know how I feel about it because it's a lot to digest when you just wake up from a nice ass nap. I mean, I took a nice nap. You know, I don't even call them naps. I call them going to sleep because the nap to me is like an hour, hour and a half. I'm good for 5 hours. I woke up about 3:30 or something like that and was like, what the hell is happening? My phone's blowing up and I'm getting text messages talking about, what do you think about this?
Oof.
What I think about what?
Oof.
I'm like, oh, snap. What the deuce? And so now I have to go back and listen to the cuts. Like I have to watch it over and over again because you're getting bombarded by so many different opinions about the same thing because everybody hears it differently. So now I have to go through and try to sift through and try to figure out what's right and what's wrong. And sometimes that's not easy to do. It's not.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. So right now, and yeah, I've been there where you've waken up and you have like 87 text messages. You're like, what the hell happened to the world? But so what was your take on when you heard Shannon Sharpe get him on the phone, get Julio Jones on the phone? Did you feel like Shannon was kind of, violating journalistic integrity by having him on the air without saying it immediately? What did you make of the conversation?
Well, first of all, Shannon's not a journalist. He's not. Like, and a lot of people are pointing to the fact that, it was Bush League or whatever. I didn't take it that way.
Okay.
Initially. So I'm listening to it. And as a former athlete that has been doing this job for a while, there are certain rules that you follow when you're dealing with other athletes. First of all, number one is you never throw anybody under the bus. I mean, that's kind of an unwritten rule. And by the way the banter went back and forth, it didn't feel to me like Shannon did that. Because when you think about it, Mark, listen to how the conversation started. It was like, hey, Julio, what you doing? Hey, Julio, you going to Dallas? To me, that's not a cold call. Like, that's one, like say, for instance, if I say, hey, Marc Farzetta, you want to go get some Chinese food, you're going to have a lot of questions that go along with that. Number one, because I'm in Georgia and you're in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that's not, to me, is a phone call that you're going to just be like, hey, I want some, let's go get some Chinese food. By the way, where are you? You know what I mean? It's not going to go like that. So I feel like there was a little bit of conversation before the phone call was actually made. That's how I feel. Because he just came in and he said, hey, what's going on? Hey, you going to Dallas? Knowing what Shannon does for a living, you have to know that there's a good chance that he's calling for a reason.
Okay.
That's like, say, if Jay Glazier or somebody like that called me and was like, hey, Hugh, what's going on and what's going on with Julio Jones? Or hey, Hugh, what you doing or whatever. It's the kind of the same thing. You know that they're going somewhere with this because of what Shannon does. And the timing of the call. Like, I might be reading too much into it, but I look at all that. Shannon's at work. Everybody knows what Shannon does for a living around, 10 o'clock during the day or whatever time they go on. So if I get a call from Shannon Sharp from 9 to 11, somewhere in between there, then I know it probably he's on the air, something like he's doing his job because he's been doing it for years. I kind of know his schedule a little bit. So I mean, it's a whole, but it's all of that I think that it was one of those things where it was set up. It was a stage call.
Okay.
I think it was staged.
Oh, you think it was staged? Okay. See, the way I saw it, and look, and you're right, I don't think he's a journalist. I think he's got a TV job as an ex-player, but I wouldn't put him as a journalist. However, I feel like even you would have if it wasn't staged, I feel like even you would know to say, hey, by the way, you're on the air right now.
Yeah, I mean, because it wouldn't be, but see, I think part of the rules was to make it seem like it was just a natural thing.
Okay.
Like it kind of just happened organically.
Organic. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Now, from your standpoint, in Atlanta, we had talked about Julio Jones and the possibility of the Falcons trading him, and now seems like it's inevitable. And in this conversation, he said he wants to go to a winner. Does that include the Philadelphia Eagles? Would a player look at it as a team that won a Super Bowl 3 years ago, or they look at it as they're constructed right now?
No, I don't think he would come to Philadelphia.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I don't think that when you talk about the young quarterback, I think the list of teams that he would go to is short. I'm thinking maybe Seattle, and this is completely off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Maybe Green Bay. I would say because he's coming from Atlanta, Kansas City.
Okay.
Kansas City uniform. That would be something that is potentially possible. Cleveland, Baltimore. Teams that legit. I'm thinking about all the playoff teams from last year.
Okay, sure.
So maybe one of those teams. I don't see them letting him loose in the division.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would see that.
No, not knowing, I damn sure wouldn't see letting go in Philly, knowing that they got to see them the first game of the season. Hell no. That's not gonna happen.
I didn't think so, but I have to ask the question, obviously.
You talking about a bad move. Like, I don't think Arthur Smith, he that comfortable. I still think Julio got something left in the tank, man. No, you don't want that smoke. You don't want that smoke the first game.
No, I don't think so either. So why did this go so bad in Atlanta? Why is it? I know it's been leaking oil for a long time now, but why so bad right now in Atlanta?
I think there's layers to this story because since I've been here, I've always heard Julio grumblings, but they've always been secondhand conversations. They've been nothing that I could actually go in there and say, well, I heard Julio said this,
right?
Because I'm getting it from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, that's not what's hot in the streets. That's not what's cool. You don't do that.
Look at you, a journalist all of a sudden.
You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. I mean, and plus, Mark, like I said, I don't have to break stories. That's not my lane. So I don't have to do that. So I think there has been rumblings about some of the things that the Falcons have done. I think Julio just got to the point where he just got fed up. I think he's kind of tired.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there have been rumors that he's been getting traded for the last couple of months. And I think he's just tired and he wants it to speed up the process.
Okay.
Because Julio, since I've been here, Mark, this is the most divisive thing that I've ever heard Julio Jones say. Julio Jones is a guy that is real quiet. He keeps to himself. I remember when the corner for the Arizona Cardinals, Patrick Peterson, was coming into town. And he was talking all kinds of stuff about how he was going to do what he was going to do. I'm going to do this to Julio Jones. Julio Jones in the locker room didn't say a word. Was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go play football. And I thought to myself, I'm like, well, dang, you know, he that's not how normally receivers act. Like they got a lot to say. Julio Jones didn't say a word. Julio Jones just went out there and handled his business. He treated that man like a stepchild. he handled his business. I think it was like 2 touchdowns for 100 and some odd yards. He spun him like a top. The bottom line is this: he's not a guy that gets into all that chirping and all that. You can see my hand, all that brain rasping. He doesn't do that. He just goes out there and he handles his business. So I think that he's gotten to the point now. He just got fed up. He got fed up, and he said, "You know what? I don't care. I do not care." Because, like I said, Julio Jones has never said anything negative about any of his teammates. Hasn't said anything negative about Atlanta. But when you look at the timing of everything, him wearing the Dallas Cowboys hoodie that everybody was talking about this weekend, and then having a phone call with Shannon Sharp. Now, knowing Shannon probably reached out to him and asked him, what's going on with the hoodie? And he was like, whatever. And Shannon, I'm out of Atlanta, whatever. Hey, you think you come on the show tomorrow and talk about that? Sure, I don't care. Okay, I'm going to call you when I'm on the air. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I think it went because when you listen to it, hey, thanks for picking up. Because it's like he had tried to call him and he missed the first call.
Mm-hmm.
Then, Julio said, what's up? And they started talking. And he said, what I heard Shannon say was, I have to go back to work. Like, I have to get back because I'm on the air.
Right. He said it at the end.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it all depends on how you interpret the conversation. And so there was a pregnant pause. I didn't hear the pregnant pause. And even after Shannon said that, Julio Jones had some more to add to that. So, it all depends on how you look at it.
Yeah. Me personally, I think Shannon Sharp totally baited him.
I get that because, Mark, I get that because we deal in a business where we're told all the time, you have to let somebody know that what you're doing, and you can't preempt them, strike them.
Right.
I think that Shannon, he probably did. It probably wasn't presented on air, but I think Shannon told him what he was going to do, and Julio said, I don't care. I mean, a little bit because I think the players, the relationship that they had came into play as opposed to the journalistic side of it.
Okay,
that's my opinion. But I am not disputing what you're saying. I totally get where you're coming from because that's what we have to do when we tell a story. We have somebody on the air and something like that. We have to let them know. But I think Shannon did. But you know what the great part about all this is? Find out in a couple of days. A lot of people are talking about how this was an ambush and how, that there could be some lawsuits involved in it or something like that. But as of yesterday, nobody has said anything. Shannon Sharp hasn't said a whole lot. Julio Jones hasn't disputed or said anything about him being, on air or like he was blindsided. So we'll see because this is going to be a hot button topic for the next couple of days. So
well,
we'll see.
I think we got one thing out of this. He doesn't want to play for the Cowboys.
No, he doesn't. And that's what I took. It's like people in Atlanta were mad because he said he wanted to play for a winner. And they were like, oh, he dissing the Falcons. No, to me, he was dissing the Cowboys. Because he was like, nah, that ain't what I'm trying to do. That ain't what I'm trying to do.
Let's just play with this hypothetical for a second. Let's say that I'm doing this show. And I don't have you on as a weekly guest, right? There's no HUGHSDAY. Imagine that dark world where there's no HUGHSDAY. But let's just say there's a show, and there's some talk about you and what you got going on. And I call you out of the blue, and you and I obviously have a personal relationship. And I say, Hugh, where are you going? And you say, I don't want to do radio here anymore. I want to do radio elsewhere. And I never tell you until the very end of that conversation, hey, by the way, I'm live on my show right now. What would your reaction be?
That's a good point to make. But Mark, if me and you had that kind of relationship, I guess I'm assuming that you wouldn't do that. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
Really talk to you about that. Because that's the kind of relationship we have. If we're talking, then it's automatically assumed that it's between me and you. Or there's a comfort level there because you wouldn't do that. I don't feel like we've known each other too long. I wouldn't feel like you would do that to me. Now, hypothetically, if it was, say, Angelo Cataldi, if Angelo did that, and I'm not saying anything negative about Angelo.
I know.
I just know that if Angelo Cole calls me, damn it, there's something to that. Because we don't have that type of relationship. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
We don't have that type of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. If Angelo says, "Hey, Hugh, where you going? Hold up, why are you calling me? First, why are you calling me?" You know,
right.
If Ike did that, if Ike called me out the blue and asked me that question, that's a conversation that I would have with Ike because Ike's a friend of mine and I'm comfortable with Ike. Now, if I find out later that Ike threw me under the bus, that's a problem. Then me and Ike's relationship has changed. Like me and your relationship would change.
Sure.
But we wouldn't be the case.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that we are in a space where if that was the conversation, that's a phone call before we would even get there. That's not a blindside situation.
All right.
Because that changes the dynamic of the relationship. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things, Mark. It's like I hear what you're saying, but if it's me and you, I feel pretty confident and comfortable saying that we talked before we got on the air. Because you're very, very like we talk hell before the show sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's a certain level of comfort that we have that you know, and I know that we wouldn't, you wouldn't blindside anybody like that.
Yeah. I'm thinking like, what if I had the information that you didn't want to be in Philly, you wanted to go to Jacksonville, the talk was out there, and I had that with you live on the air.
If you would say, "Can I go with this?" And I'm like, "Hell, why not?"
Right.
Like if me and you, like if I knew, like if I knew, like the relationship that we have, and if it was a story that you wanted from me that I had, then I'd give it to you. But we talked about that though. It's not one of those ones where you just jumped on the air and say, "Hey, let's do this," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know this was coming." That'd be a conversation that'd be had. Yeah.
Oof. If this was Shannon Sharp just saying, "Hey, Lake, wait a minute, let me just see what I got going on here," and it's your favorite uncle,
I totally
right? Oof.
If he did that, then all the goodwill that Shannon has built up in the community, that puts a black eye on it. Like because now he's not the trustworthy guy that he portrays himself to be. Right. I want to believe that he didn't do that. Like I said, I haven't heard anything from anybody. I would want to believe though that he didn't do that. That's what I believe as of right now.
All right. So from this point on, the Atlanta Falcons have no bargaining power in a trade right now because it's out there that Julio Jones doesn't want to be in Atlanta. Like, it's not just a report. It's not speculation. It's the player himself.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. There have been rumors and speculation to your point. And I think that they've been trying to get a deal done. Excuse me. But they've been trying to keep it under wraps. And it's one of those things where June, like the beautiful thing about it, Mark, June 1st is right around the corner. It's like right around the corner. And I saw somewhere in the paper the other day that Coach Smith was going to address the situation with the team or address the situation with the media. So waiting to see what he has to say about all of this. I'm pretty sure they feel some kind of way. But I think at this point, Julio just doesn't care. I don't think he cares. Because this is not, again, this is so uncharacteristic of who Julio Jones is or the Julio Jones that I know. Right. The Julio Jones that I've been around and have covered for over 6 years. It's just, this is not what he does. He's not a guy that goes to the media and is controversial. The most controversial thing Julio Jones did a couple years ago was go work out with T.O. in California. And there was some rumors that, oh, wow, he's hanging out with T.O. Oh, my gosh, what's that? What does that mean? Is he a malcontent? Nothing came from it. So that is probably the worst. He lost his earring on a jet ski. Lost a diamond earring. Like seriously.
Wow.
That's the most that I can say, the most controversial thing that T.O. does. He hung out with the Migos at the music awards when somebody was about to get into a fight, and he in the back looking like, what the hell is going on? Like that is Julio Jones.
All right.
Controversial guy. So,
I love the story of it being controversial that he worked out with T.O. Like, oh, no, he worked out with a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Yeah.
They ran together. They ran in California. What is he doing? T.O.'s a bad person.
All right. Do you think it's done? Julio Jones, like you just mentioned, possibly a contract. They worked on a deal, whatever. He's done in Atlanta, though, right?
I think so. After this,
Yeah. Okay.
New regime. Yeah, he's done.
All right. Well, at least the Eagles won't have to face him in week 1. Hugh, the Atlanta Hawks, they beat the Knicks in week 1.
Hey, man, let me tell you. That, to me, was a game. You know, it's funny how people, the other day, we were talking about it, and people were on the air calling in lying, saying, oh, there was never a doubt in my mind that they were going to lose. Man, stop it. Stop it. I don't understand. I always felt like the Hawks. Come on, man. Julius Randle hits a 3. And then was it Alec Burke comes back and hits a 2.
Yeah.
Almost virtually back-to-back. Those were 2 nut shots right there that you thought was the end of the game, or at least I thought it was the end of the game. I thought that was it. But the Hawks show resilience. And on top of that, Mark, I had good reason for feeling that way, even though Coach McMillan has turned the fortunes around in this team, and they have played better in the fourth quarter. But lately, I mean, normally at the beginning of the season, in the fourth quarter, they would fold like a cheap tent at that. They didn't fold. Trae Young can't come down. He hits the floater, and he quiets the whole crowd. You know what the best part about all that is?
What's that?
It's the fact that they were saying F you, Trae, up in New York at the Garden, and he silenced that whole crowd. That was,
yeah.
But you got to go back. You got to go back. Like, see, that's the thing. And like everybody was saying, you do not. You got to go back. You know they're going to come playing. Julius Randle is not going to have the game that he had. You better not. You better take care of your business when you come back to the A. You better take care of your business. Because, boy, if we get to a game 7, do not want a game 7 back up there in New York. Do not want that. Don't want it. Don't want it.
Hugh, as per usual, chock full of information, my friend. Chock full of information. Another fine HUGHSDAY segment with our friend Hugh Lamont Douglas III. Thank you, Hugh.
Holla.
Hugh Douglas joining us on the Zados Investments guest line. So, for the people thinking that it was all a setup, that Julio Jones and Shannon Sharpe had this whole thing planned out, Hugh Lamont Douglas III says, hey, guess what? You're right. That's what he says. And he knows Shannon Sharpe a little bit. We were talking off the air about that. Actually, let me call Hugh real quick and let me see if it – just kidding. Yeah, he thinks the whole thing was set up. I don't. So we have a difference of opinion when it comes to that. We'll talk more about this, I'm sure, throughout the week. But thanks to Hugh joining us there on the Zados Investments guest line. Hugh was just guest number 1 today, ladies and gentlemen. Guest number 2 is coming up at 7 o'clock today. A man named Landon Dickerson, also known as the second-round pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. We get into so much coming up at 7 o'clock. We get into his welcome to Philadelphia moment, which is something all of us can identify with. I'll tell you that much. We get into the hype that is surrounding him right now. Lane Johnson has praise for him. Jason Kelsey has praise for him. A lot of people praising him right now, and he tells me he's has 100%. He's full go, man. There's nothing holding him back. He had some restrictions for his pro day. Did you see he actually did cartwheels on his pro day? Landon Dickerson? I hadn't seen that. And then I saw it yesterday when I was just, looking up things I could ask him that might be a little unique, things that he hasn't really talked about, being that he's done a press conference, a couple of interviews already. Really interesting guy. So I look forward to letting you guys hear that interview coming up at 7 o'clock today and watch that interview coming up at 7 o'clock today. Before we go any further, and we got one little tidbit to get back to with Julio Jones. But before we go any further, I do want to tell you about hers and their delicious, fiery hot, fire-roasted sweet corn. Same great flavor as the fire-roasted sweet corn, but with a little bit of heat to it. It's a nice touch of spice with that savory, creamy, buttery taste from fire-roasted sweet corn. This is the fiery hot, fire-roasted sweet corn. Oh, it's got that sweetness. It's got the buttery flavor, and now it's got a little bit of spice to it. Perfect bite of spicy grilled corn in every bite. You know how sometimes it doesn't get spread around on the corn? You take that one perfect bite, and you're like, where's the rest of it? Some of them didn't make it right. Well, guess what? You get that great taste A great perfect bite, the taste of a great perfect bite in every bite with the fiery hot fire roasted sweet corn. Hers all new fiery hot fire roasted sweet corn is a must have on the beach, any barbecue you go to, any social gathering throughout the playoffs, and any sport you enjoy playoffs, postseason play in. Have a big old bag of it sitting right next to you. It is fantastic. Fiery hot fire roasted sweet corn from Hers. Kick up your snack shelf to the next level, ladies and gentlemen. And how about Philadelphia Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation. You can check out our friends over there at Philadelphia Sports Nation, a local Philly sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. PHLSportsNation.com. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. Speaking of just enhancing your fan experience, how about our friends over at FanUp? I was out there doing Farzy in the field yesterday, recording some great interviews with some people, all brought to you by the great people of FanUp when I was at the cheesesteak, 600-foot cheesesteak in South Philadelphia. We'll play that for you later in the week. But it's brought to you by FanUp. Go to the FanUp app right now in the App Store. Download it. Get 2,000 bonus points right out of the gate, and you're well on your way to never playing fantasy sports alone. You can message your friends. You can make gentlemen's bets. Issue challenges to your friends with the FanUp app. The days of playing fantasy sports are over. FanUp, do it with my friends. It's a great time. I enjoy sending gifts back and forth. And feel free to challenge me on there as well. I love accepting challenges from listeners and viewers of the show. You could be a real baller, as they like to say, on FanUp. It's fun. It's easy. It's the only place where you can also win the hottest brand prizes. I just saw them giving away a $200 Nike gift card yesterday. So make sure you take advantage of everything right there. All day, every week, every season, you can be the real MVP with FanUp. Download the FanUp app in the App Store. Use promo code FANUP and get 2,000 bonus points. That's FanUp. May the best fan win. And how about Zados Investments? Zados Investments, an up-and-coming luxury real estate development company right in the Philadelphia area. Also, investment company. They design and develop top-of-the-line custom homes around the city, ranging from small single-family rehabs to ground-up new construction townhomes and condo buildings. Zados also works closely with their private investor base to make sure they get substantial returns on their investment, ranging from 20 to 40%. Follow them on social media. Check them out on Instagram at Zados Investments. Just great properties. They show you the construction, everything, the behind-the-scenes work. It's fantastic. Again, 20 to 40% of return on your investment. To learn how you can invest with Zados, hit them up at info@ZadosInvestments.com or simply check out ZadosInvestments.com. I was really happy to see my friend Tony Cavada yesterday from Steak and Maine. He was down there right around Pat's and Gino's. He was helping make the steak at Rim Cafe, and he had a nice, like, Alfredo type of John going on there to put on some steak. It looked incredible. It was an American cheese Alfredo. I'm telling you, he was stirring this in front of me. You'll see it later in the week. Mouth-watering, okay? Mouth-watering. And, you can enjoy some of the great food that he has to offer at Steak and Maine. Check him out, steakandmaine.com. Right in the heart of Northeast Maryland. You like steak? Guess what? Steak and Maine, they got steak. They got tomahawk steak. They got lobster. They got an oyster bar. Fresh seafood for you. All there at Steak and Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Number one place for steaks in America. That's voted by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. And Tony Cavada also wants you to enjoy his own family wine from Cavada Cellars Wines. He's got great wine pairings for everything. What's better than a nice, juicy, succulent steak from Steak and Maine and a nice red wine to wash it down, right? What's better? Maybe some garlic mashed potatoes along with it. Maybe a lobster tail if you're getting fancy. It's all at Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. Tony Cavada, say hello to my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine at steakandmaine.com. Man, you guys are coming in with piping hot takes all over the place. Let's start off with Matt. First one I'm seeing here. Hitting it as in Steak and Maine. Hey-o. I think that's a response to somebody else. Going to Maryland for vacation in the third week of June. 100% hitting it. Damn right you're hitting. It's like, I just got it now. To read that in chronological order, folks, he's going to Steak and Maine in Maryland the third week in June, and he's 100% hitting it. ... Steak and Maine, that is. Well, let's just say I hope the other thing also happens for you, Matt. I'm rooting for you, buddy. Dan Schwartz checking in, saying good morning. What's up, Dan? Dan's got plenty of takes on the Julio Jones situation. Dante, I see you, brother. What's going on there? Yeah, that was Hugh mentioning the name, not me. That's for the record. Nick Anderson is saying Landon seems awesome. He does seem awesome. I'm just going to tell you right now, you're going to fall even more in love with him when we talk to him coming up at 7 o'clock today. Yeah, there's no way I would do Hugh Douglas like that. I would not do him dirty by not catfishing him, but goading him, reeling him in. I'll tell you this. I remember, God, I must have been about 25-ish, I guess. And I started doing a weekly event with a current member of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't want to, again, I'm not going to throw the guy under the bus because I'm not a jerk, basically. And I care more about being a decent human being than I do clickety-click. But here you go. They had told me flat out they hated their contract. And they had told me flat out they weren't going to show up for OTAs. They weren't going to do anything that wasn't mandatory. And this became a big story. And they told me this in confidence as a friend. And they're like, look, and they started it off by saying, look, I'm just going to tell you so you know the situation. Here's where I'm at. And that was that. And he confided in me. I said, that's fine. And I didn't say anything about it. But if I would have stuck my chest out on the air at the time and been like, this is what they're telling me. Hold on, let me put them on the phone. Then, I'm a scumbag. And I feel like anybody that would do that, that's a scummy thing. Now, I'll say this. Hugh made the distinction between a journalist and a former player. And Hugh even said that he's not a journalist. I don't consider myself a journalist. However, I did go to school for this. I have a background in it, obviously. And I know not to put somebody out like that. I would assume as long as Shannon Sharpe has been in media, somebody has told him at some point along the line, you can't just have somebody go on the air live and them not know it. I'm sure that came up at some point. Because my assumption would be that this isn't the first time Shannon Sharpe would be like, oh, yeah, well, I'll just call the guy and tell you right now. And probably producers that know the rules and laws were like, oh, hey, hold on a second. No. And if you do, you got to let them know. And again, the thing that jumps out to me as to the reason why I believe Julio Jones did not know he was live at the time is because the co-host is saying, make sure you tell him he's on the air. And Shannon Sharpe doesn't say anything until the end. Yeah, you know I'm on the air right now. If this whole thing was set up and Shannon Sharpe wasn't going to mention that at the beginning, then he wouldn't mention it at the end. Crazy people. Anyway, let's see. Anybody checking in here? Oh, what's up, April? Good morning to you as well. Vince checking in. Hugh's the man. You're damn right he is. Could you imagine Dan Schwartz? Could you imagine Julio Jones in Seattle with Metcalf and Lockett? Oh, God. No, thank you. We're going to... Luigi, sorry, still no hot weather girl. My apologies. By the way, I think if you remember a couple of weeks ago, our old friend Molly checked in. Not Mally. Molly checked in and said hello. I think you guys creeped her out a little bit. I haven't seen her back in the comments in a while. But Molly, I hope you're doing well. You know who you are. What else do we have here? John? Yeah, my apologies, John. Yes, that was you that asked about the cheesesteak thing. So I hit up my friends that were organizing the thing yesterday, and they were a little busy. They didn't get back to me. So when I went there, I saw everybody was there. It was all over the news. John, I do apologize. John, I owe you a cheesesteak. I owe you a cheesesteak. How about that? John, hopefully you'll take me up on that as a sign of my sincere apology. What else? Just people checking in on the Phillies and the Marlins. And yeah, the Phillies and the Marlins are terrible. We have another Mike Sealski shout out in the comments here by Benny and everyone else shouting him out. Again, I'll just say it every time. Mike Sealski, one of the nicest human beings on the planet. Thanks to everyone that chimed in here on our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. It also looks like a lot of people are putting it out right there that the Julio Jones deal would be a little too much for their blood when it comes to trading for Julio Jones. 32 years old. By the way, T.O. was 32 years old when the Eagles traded for him. But right now, 45% of the audience are saying too much money and too old for Julio Jones. Other people are saying, yeah, they would get him, but not for a number one pick, not for a first-round pick. That's 32% of the vote right there. Thanks for everyone that checked in on social media. Check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's go ahead to our Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motor Cars and skymotorcars.com. Sandy Alcantara takes on the Phillies tonight. So that's horrifying. Weird start time. Is that a 6:40 start time tonight? I believe it is for the Phillies. It's a weird time. But Alcantara went 6 innings, 2 hits, 0 runs against the Phillies just this past Thursday. Good times. He'll go up against Vinny Velasquez, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully Vince Velasquez stays hot, Pony Boy. Darius Slay, Julio Jones, Darius Slay, former defensive back in the NFL. Darius Butler, who now does a podcast, put this out yesterday. Julio Jones will be a next season. And Darius Slay says, an Eagle. How about that, Julio Jones? Come on down. So for the people that would take Julio Jones, Darius Slay is on board with that. It's just such a weird story. It's just such a weird story because if you want to get out, you're not saying that publicly in the way that he did it. Knowingly. Crazy talk. It's just crazy talk. One of my favorite SportsCenter anchors all time. One of my favorite ESPN personalities all time, Kenny Mayne. I believe it was his last show last night. They were sending him off with a great tribute. Here is his last interview, and they aired this last night. Aaron Rodgers didn't show up to OTAs, and people are losing their minds over it. But I believe he's in Hawaii right now with his lovely fiance. I saw a video of them. I think Barstool had it. They were singing karaoke. Aaron Rodgers was playing the guitar. Miles Teller, Philadelphia's own Miles Teller, was there. It was a beautiful moment. And he took some time out of his trip to do an interview with Kenny Mayne, and here's how that went.
Last thing. Last time we did the interview together, you told me to go heavy in the cryptocurrency game. I did. We're down 40%. Then I lost my job. Gretchen just wants a new comforter. F you, Aaron Rodgers.
I love you, Ken.
I watched it like 100 times. It's funny. It's funnier every time. What a way to go out. Tell the rating MVP of the league, by the way, bleep you. Like, that is just a thing of perfection. In honor of Kenny Mayne, I just want to say a few of my favorite all-time Kenny Mayne-isms, if you will. If there was a home run hit by a baseball player, whatever it was, one of my all-time favorites was, I am king of the diamond. Let there be a grand clubhouse feast. That's one of my favorite ones of all time. One of the best the two best favorite commercials, when he's playing foosball with a couple soccer players, and he scores a goal, and he runs around the office, and he lifts his shirt up, and then he blows a trumpet, I believe it was, and then he slides on the ground and poses. That always cracked me up. And the other one when he's just testing catchphrases to Ken Griffey Jr. hitting home runs. It's never iffy if it's Griffey. Yeah, that blows. And then he writes it down. It is just, must be a homer, Simpson, because the pitcher just went dope. Anyway, I highly recommend looking up his catchphrases on YouTube because that killed an hour for me yesterday. Anyway, that was just a little tribute to Kenny Mayne. Let's see. By the way, SportsCenter freeze framed that and put it out on their social media, just saying bleep you, Aaron Rodgers, and then underneath Kenny Mayne. So they liked it. NBA scores: Bucks 32, Heat 98. Bucks, you think they have a little vengeance factor going on from last year, losing in 5 games to the Heat in the playoffs? Nuggets 128 to 109. They beat the Portland Trail Blazers. Joker with 38 points. Damian Lillard with 42 points with 9 3-pointers. Damian Lillard with 9 3-pointers in the losing effort. Once again, Sixers aren't back in action until tomorrow night when they take on the Wizards for Game 2 of their best-of-7 series. Big Bet segment. I took the night off last night, so I have nothing to report back to you on with Big Bets brought to you by DraftKings and DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. But I'll be perusing tonight, and we'll see what's going on. But, yeah, I took the night off, so I got no good bets to report back to you on. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, this was a lot of fun, this conversation that I was able to have with the Eagles rookie, Landon Dickerson, who joined us to talk about all things Eagles, his own background, his experience with Jalen Hurts. They didn't really cross paths too much in Alabama, but more so his experience with Devontae Smith. It was a lot of fun to have this conversation with him, and Sure enough, he got welcomed to Philadelphia in the most Philadelphia fashion, and you'll know what that means in just a second. Without further ado, our second guest of the day joining us on the Zados Investments guest line, Eagles' second-round pick, Mr. Landon Dickerson. Take a listen. And joining us now on the Zados Investments guest line, second-round pick for your Philadelphia Eagles, Landon Dickerson. Landon, welcome in, man. How you doing?
I'm great. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, now, first, I just want to make sure we got this out of the way because during your first press conference as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, at rookie camp, you were asked about your proposal, and you said that you thought it went well. Your beautiful fiance, Brooke, said yes, but you just wanted to make sure she wouldn't backtrack. We're still good there?
Yeah, we're still A-okay there.
Okay.
As far as I know. She hasn't said no, so you can't take it back now.
Good, exactly. I'm always curious to get this, especially from people that aren't from the Philadelphia area. You're a North Carolina kid. You were at Florida State. You're obviously at Alabama. What do you know about Philadelphia? At this point in your life, what do you know about Philly?
Really, the two things I know are diehard fans and Meek Mill.
Fantastic. I love those are two great things to know about the city of Philadelphia. Is there anything that's immediately on your list, something you really want to do other than go to work, something you want to do when you come to Philadelphia?
I've been told there's a lot to do. Big cities are new for me, so I'm not sure what all there is to do. I have driven downtown a little bit, already got a parking ticket, so try to figure out how to park here because it seems like people just park anywhere and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So just figuring that out, I feel like that'll be fun. Finding some good spots to eat, not cheesesteaks. I'm talking good, like all different kinds of food. Cheesesteaks are great, don't get me wrong, but I want to experience some good cuisine here, no matter where it is. So I'm looking forward to getting out and finding some good restaurants and really just enjoying the city.
That's great news because so many people jump right to the cheesesteak. I'm glad you're not that. But I'm sorry about that parking ticket. Just so you know, I've lived most of my adult life within the city proper. And, I still haven't figured out the parking thing. I'm pretty sure the PPA is just making up as they go along. So you're fitting in nicely right out of the gate.
Beautiful.
To jump into this, I'm amazed by this because I was like a lot of people. In full disclosure, I see that the Eagles took you in the second round. I'm aware and have read up on you as far as the talent level goes and what you're supposed to be bringing to the table and the high upside and all that. But then people also see the injury history that you've had. One, as a player, how do you deal with that? And two, for the people that might have their doubts, what would you say to them in order to have confidence in the way you're about to play football?
So firstly, I'll say, as a player, it's you kind of acknowledge it. I mean, playing football, injuries happen. Have I been unfortunate? Yes. I try to take care of myself the best way I can. I work out, I rehab, I try to, take as much preventative measures as I can when it comes to not getting injured. Obviously, nobody wants to get injured. That's nobody's goal to set out and see if they can get injured. So, that. And then, if people are worried, I would say, the doctors of this team, the athletic trainers, the coaches get paid a lot of money to make decisions like that. So I trust them. If they think I can play football, then, I wholeheartedly know I can play football. So you should trust their decision making. I mean, that's at the end of the day, they're the ones that made the decision. And I think they made the right one. So I guess it's everybody's interpretation, but.
Mm-hmm. Where are you at right now in that journey to get back onto the football field?
I'm right on track with where I want to be and where the training staff and coaches want me to be when it comes to rehab, being able to participate as much as I can, working out, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm hearing a lot of guys talk about, your build overall and your attitude overall. What have kind of been your first impressions going through any types of motions at the NFL level?
It's a lot more laid back as compared to Alabama. I'll put it that way. When it comes to when I say laid back, let me be reserved about this. Like, people don't seem, I guess, scared to speak up and ask questions. You know what I mean? Like some people, be a little more relaxed, crack jokes during the warm up, that kind of deal. I feel like it's a little more.
So here's what I'm picturing, and I think this is what you're trying to convey, but I also want to put words in your mouth. It seems like people feel like there's a lot more people at Alabama that will tiptoe around Nick Saban, whereas at the professional level, it's more people that are just about playing football.
Precisely. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. in a roundabout way, as you see, I still tiptoe around things.
No, we'll have a headline tomorrow. Landon Dickerson says NFL is easy, but we'll have fun with that. No, but I am curious because if there's going to be a comfort level with anybody, I would imagine it would be around teammates. A guy like Devontae Smith, obviously. A guy like Jalen Hurts is already here in Philadelphia. How much does it help to have guys like that already here in Philly upon your arrival?
It's great to have them here. That's already a connection that, I've made in the past and know those guys. But it's also great just how everybody is on this team. I mean, these guys are, they're open to talking about, anything and everything, whether it's football, cooking, living arrangements. I mean, literally everything A to Z that you can think about. So, it's just one thing that's great is being surrounded by guys that, that they have a lot to teach me on the football field and off the football field. So that's great. And they're great humans. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't be excited, more excited to be surrounded by these people.
Jason Kelce, and I'm not expecting you to give details on this, but Jason Kelce mentioned that he got to meet you and talk to you a little bit, and mentioned during one of his press conferences that you guys actually got to sit down and I believe have lunch at the NovaCare complex. What were kind of your impressions of meeting a guy like Jason Kelce and maybe talking football with him?
So it's obviously I've watched him growing up as an offensive lineman, throughout high school and college. I've watched him. And so, having the opportunity to sit down and talk with a guy like that, he's played a bunch of ball. He's extremely talented. He's extremely smart. I mean, he's obviously doing something right to, be in the position he's in. So for me, it's kind of, I have to hold back the fanboy side a little bit and try not to ask a million questions. But, I kind of reserve it to, if we're on the subject of talking, specific instances, whether it's third down, blitz pickups, different things like that, just, bouncing ideas off the top of his head, see, what he's done in the past, what works for him, what he's seen other players do, what he knows other guys on other teams do. And really, I mean, just, he's a good, honest guy. I mean, he doesn't care to beat around the bush. He'll give you the answer that he thinks is right. And, I appreciate that. So, he's great dude. I mean, we talked about a lot of things other than football. I don't even really think we talked about much football during lunch. So,
yeah, I could understand that. I mean, it is a cast of characters when you look at that offensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles that you're going to be joining here. Lane Johnson is one of them. What was your interaction like with Lane so far?
Yeah, so I've been around Lane obviously for been about a week now. We've been up here. It's days kind of blend together at this point, but every single guy in the offensive line is just kind of, they're all characters. They all have, something unique about them. They're all, funny. They're just, I don't know. They're very charismatic guys, easy to talk to. I mean, it's just a good group of guys. You can tell they all love each other. They love playing football. They love offensive line play. So, being able to be a part of that is just something that, excites me because those guys are always so excited. They come to work every day excited to learn, excited to play football and just, be with other guys. So that's really all I can ask for.
To go back to Jason Kelce, you guys are being compared a lot in terms of athletic ability, obviously, but also your approach to life. I mean, both of you seem like, well, I know Jason Kelce's a fun-loving guy. You certainly seem to be a fun-loving guy to the point where you were doing cartwheels at Alabama's Pro Day. First off, what was with that? And second, was that a lot with the fact you were just trying to show that you were healthy?
Yeah, a little bit of both there. I was kind of restricted on what I was allowed to do at Pro Day. So you got to be creative and find, the trainers gave me, criteria on what I could and couldn't do. And there's loopholes everywhere. So that was a loophole for me to try to show people, hey, I'm doing just fine. It's also me and Mac Jones, we're really good friends, and we mess with each other in interviews. We've been on a couple radio shows together, and he'll throw me under the bus a little bit. I'll throw him under the bus. So I just like to keep him on his toes, and I feel like scouts and coaches really appreciated seeing how he reacts to some unknown situations when curveballs get thrown. So that was also, good for him to, see what he would do in those kind of situations. So it was win-win for everybody.
It certainly sounds like it. You've played all over the offensive line. Is there one particular spot that you prefer to play? Where do you feel like you're at your best?
Yeah, I absolutely feel like as long as I'm on the field, that's where I'm happiest. That's it.
That's it. Easy.
Pure simple. It doesn't matter from tackle to tackle. As long as I'm on the field, I'm happy.
All right. I mean, fair enough. I always like to ask this question to people because of the year we've all just had. What was the best thing you did during shutdown?
Oh, I'd probably building a home gym in my garage, which didn't technically fall under the quarantine and staying socially distanced, but it was a great way to keep guys around the house and kind of have interaction with. I had a bunch of the players at Alabama coming to my house to work out because everywhere else was closed.
Well, yeah, I guess we would call that you're still in your bubble. Those guys were in your bubble, as we like, or in your pod.
Yeah, so we kept a bubble. I mean, we kept numbers down and we cleaned thoroughly. So, we took a lot of precautions. I'll gladly say that, in the few months that the gym was up, we did not have a single COVID case pop up. So I take pride in, how clean that place was. And, we did a good job, and it was a great opportunity for guys to just come, stay around each other because we're social creatures, and, you try to separate us and we kind of go crazy. So
the Dickerson home gym, the garage gym, was following all COVID protocols for what it sounds like. Lane, I want to ask you this. Nick Sirianni, first-year head coach here in Philadelphia. What was it like meeting him, and what are your first impressions of your new head coach?
So I'm really excited. He's obviously it's a new head coaching job, new situation to step into, but he's got a great attitude when it comes to how he's going to approach it. I mean, he's a very team-first oriented coach, which I think those are the special teams. It's what we had at Alabama whenever we have great teams. It's no matter how talented guys are, especially at this level. I mean, the top 10% of people, 10% either way physically, everybody's the same. So, it's really about those teams that are really, a family. They're all connected as one, and they just love to play football and they love to play for each other. So that's what he's all about, and that's what I'm really excited about because those teams are special teams, and those teams win a lot of football games. So he's got a great approach, in my opinion, of what he's doing. He's going about it the right way. We have a great offensive and defensive scheme in, a lot of tremendous players returning, a lot of talent. A lot of older guys that have experience. So I'm really excited about what this year holds for us.
Is it true you did beat him in rock, paper, scissors?
Yes.
What'd you throw first?
It's tough. It's been a while. I honestly don't remember.
You just blacked out and went in the zone of rock, paper, scissors and took care of business?
I think it just pure competitiveness. I was like, I'm not going to lose this. This may mean I don't get drafted by these guys.
And then you can't enjoy the fine meals in Philadelphia, and you can't get a nice Philadelphia parking ticket. So it all leads.
Exactly. Everything worked out in the end.
I want to ask you about your two other Alabama teammates real quick. Behind the scenes, you've talked about them a little bit in Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. What's something you could tell us about Devontae Smith that we might not know already?
I feel like a lot of social media perception of him is he's kind of like quiet and reserved, but Smitty's a funny guy. I don't know if you guys will see it, but I've seen it. Smitty's a character. He's a funny dude.
Like he's a prankster, or he's got one-liners. What kind of funny is he?
He's got some good one-liners. I'll say that. He knows when to use them. They're kind of few and far between, but he's got some good ones now. So
and Jalen Hurts. What can you tell us about Jalen Hurts behind the scenes?
Jalen's the same way. He's a great dude, great teammate, funny guy. I didn't have a whole lot of interaction with him because he left Alabama right when I came in there. So really just kind of I'm getting to know him now, really just like everybody else is.
Good to hear. Landon Dickerson, welcome to the Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome to Philadelphia. Thanks for being on the show here, joining us on the Zados Investments guest line. Landon, thanks, bud.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. My thanks once again to Landon Dickerson joining us there on the Zados Investments guest line. That was a lot of fun. talking to that young man, wishing nothing but success. Look, I was straight up with him. I told him I was one of the people that went, all right, I know the upside. We all know the upside. Anyone that read up or anyone that watched Bama, whatever it might have been, you know the upside of this guy. But the injuries are a concern. So what does he say? He says, hey, I'm good. All these doctors that get paid a lot of money, they cleared me. As far as dealing with these injuries throughout his college career, he feels like he is ready to step on the football field and get things going. And before we started talking on the air, or before I hit record, rather, we're doing a little pre-interview, I just asked him flat out, do you feel like you have restrictions? And he's like, I don't know where this is coming from. I'm good to go. So, good. I'm just happy to hear that. He's an easy guy to root for, I'll tell you that. Welcome to Philadelphia, Landon Dickerson. No better way to say welcome to Philly than getting a parking ticket. I don't think any of us have figured out the parking situation in Philadelphia. Pretty much don't park in Philadelphia, and that's the only way. Or find a garage. It's the only really way you can do it, unfortunately. What else? The home gym was good, staying in shape throughout quarantine. That's great, obviously. And he can play anywhere on the offensive line. Anywhere on the offensive line. I know what we're looking at right now is an eventual replacement for Jason Kelce, but this team has certainly had issues with the guard over the last couple of years. Brandon Brooks has had his share of injury. Isaac Seumalo has his share of injury. If he can play another guard spot, he even said he could play the tackle position. Here's another thing. We make a lot about the Alabama boys on this squad. Let's not forget about the Auburn guys that are on this squad right now. Who is it? Jack Driscoll they drafted last year. So they got some Bama guys that are raring to go on this offensive line as well. So that was a lot of fun. Appreciate everybody checking in. Farzy and Landon weekly show. Pete, I'd love to see that. I know Henry was hitting me up just saying that he might have missed him, say you can play anywhere in the offensive line. Henry, if you're on dad duty, I get it. Today's my dad duty for me today. Daddy daycare as well. Yeah, he said he'll play anywhere on the offensive line. My thanks to Landon Dickerson for joining the show today. Of course, you guys can check out Hugh Douglas. You guys can check out Landon Dickerson throughout the show, as we will be on all our social media platforms throughout the day, as we always are. My thanks to Jim Hyden, who produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow, getting you ready for Sixers, getting ahead of myself. Sixers Wizards game 2. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you click subscribe on our YouTube channel as well. Oh, I wanted to mention this. I meant to actually mention this yesterday. But last Friday, we had our first ever Farzy feature, and that was about saving LaSalle baseball. And I just want to say, all the people that reached out to me from LaSalle baseball, just thank you guys for telling us your story. And I'm glad we can get the word out there more. And I wish you guys all the luck in the world for your endeavor. And also, just thanks for the people that reacted to that and reached out. We want to tell a story here. Like I said, when we started this show, I didn't just want to sit here and talk sports and goof off with you guys and have fun. I wanted to be able to go out there and do some things that are a little bit outside the norm that you guys have seen me do over the years. And that was certainly outside the norm. And we like I said, we want to tell good stories on this show. And that was a great story, and I'm glad we were able to tell that story, and hopefully we're able to help the cause in saving LaSalle baseball. So thank you to everybody that reacted to that and watched it on our YouTube channel as well. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow to talk Sixers, Wizards, and hopefully, maybe, possibly, a Phillies win over the Marlins? Yeah, here's hoping. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. I'm Marc Farzetta here at the Steven Singer Studios from the Farzy Show. Have a great day. Take it easy.